Hello and good afternoon. My name is Lost Echo and I'm here to make a video I've been meaning to make for a long time, and that is how to play Warmachine on Vassal via an email game. I know a lot of people seem to think that it's impossible to do this or it'd be really difficult. The nice thing is that Vassal actually provides the abilities to do this via something called a log file. Before we get started, I just wanted to show you a real quick how you get Vassal, what is Vassal, and a couple of quick tips to get started. So the first question, of course, is what is Vassal? Vassal is a free program that lets you play games such as Warmachine, Malifaux, Guild Ball, anything that's tabletop variety online. It's completely free. There's not stellar graphics, not stellar options, but it works pretty well for Warmachine. So how do we find Vassal? Instead of giving you a super complicated link, I'm going to give you the easy one. Ready? Go to Google. If I can type Warmachine and Vassal. Look at that. Pops right up. It's going to give you this module. The first thing you actually have to do is go download Vassal. And you're going to want to download this module right here. This will allow you to add the module to Vassal. So first I'm going to go ahead and go to Vassal, show you how to download it, show you how to add this module. Ready? So I went back to Google and I've typed in my trusty Vassal. First thing that pops up is vassalengine.org. Simply click on this and it'll allow you to get this nice big giant pop-up here that says download Vassal for Windows. I believe there is a Mac version. I don't know how stable it is. I've heard people talk about it. So once you download and install this, what it's going to do is it's going to add this Vassal icon here on your desktop. The next thing you want to do is go down over here and download your module. So we want this Warmachine module version 5.2 is what's on here. This gets updated quite a bit by a very active member of the community. There's also a Vassal Facebook, and it's amazing how quickly essentially one person is with I think a couple of volunteers that are updating this. So once you download your module, you're going to want to open Vassal up. It might take a while, especially for the first time. Then you can ignore this Mark II. I think it's just stuck that way, but you go to File, Open Module, and you're going to find out where you put your module that you just downloaded. Which my module is over here in this Vassal folder. You download it to wherever, you just double click on it, and it's going to add it to this module library. Once you do that, it's going to be there permanently. You won't need to go do it again. I'm not going to open it since it's already there. So you want to play some Warmachine. So simply double click this. This is going to open up Vassal. It takes quite a while, even on a really fast computer. It's just, I think there's just a lot for it to load. It gives you three options. Start a new game offline, look for a game online, or load a saved game. I'm going to do start a new game offline to show you how to set up a game really quick. Most of the time when you are doing an email game, you're going to be either the first person is going to start this new game, or you're going to go ahead and load the saved game that they send to you in the email. So I'm going to go ahead and click this start new game offline, click on next. It asks you what setup you would like. There is these pre-made maps here are all pretty nice. I'm not going to go through how to set up terrain. Most of the time we just simply use one of these pre-made maps. I'll talk real quick a little bit about how to move terrain if you need to. And I see which side you'd like to join. Observer, player 1, player 2. I'm going to be player 1. I'm going to click finish. And notice how it pops up with this nice kind of pre-built map, central blocking terrain, lots of different kind of little pieces here. Again, I kind of like the pre-built maps. Looking at this, I'm seeing, okay, maybe I don't want this hill over on this side because one side has all forests, one side has all hills. Maybe that seems a little bit unfair. To move these around, you notice you can't click on them normally. If you shift and click, it allows you to highlight them. Now I can drag them wherever I want to. So just for the sake of this real quick tutorial, I'm going to move these. These little dots just kind of are ways that you can let your opponent know exactly what's there. Okay, So notice it adds to the scoreboard up here at the top. There's some information on how to actually move these. If you right click on it, you can do turn. Here's how you do the scoring. Delete is Control D. And so what if you want to do a scenario? Real quick, it's up here at the top. Notice that there's 2018 scenarios and 2018 scenario. Well, why is there two? This one allows you to roll for the scenario. I'm going to click on it. Looks like we have Recon 2 for our scenario. And then down here at the bottom, it says I get to pick that scenario. So when I pick this from the bottom, it gives it a second. Notice I just added a grid and added my zones and my flags. And a couple of objectives. This really helps for setup. Once you're all set up and you want to hide this grid, some players actually leave it on. I think it's a little cleaner with it off. You can just click this hide button. And it will actually hide that for you. This zone does have, or this scenario does have a kill box, so that's what these lines are. So it leaves them on there. Really nice, really clean. Okay. If you want to add models, simply set up models. You have to choose your faction. One of the things that catches people, and it definitely caught me at first, is that this little box likes to hide things, especially if you have a smaller screen. So sometimes when you set up your models, you just have to pull this out a little bit and kind of readjust this, and you'll see all the information. So just real quick to show you how you pull a model on, I just click on who I want and see there's Kane, and then this is the variations of Kane. So let's say I want Nemo. I don't know really the Nemo names. I'm going to pretend that this is Nemo 2 and grab, click, drop, and Nemo's there. There's all kinds of other tutorials about Vassal. I just wanted to help people get started. And I really want to show you what makes Vassal work so well that I think people miss all the time. I'm going to throw a couple of just random models out here. Sure, let's do a Stormlance. So one of the things I noticed that new players do quite a bit is when they are starting out, they have a tendency to want to measure their distances using this measuring tape. And they click and they try to get real close to this base, and they try to click here and say, oh dang it, now that didn't go as far as I wanted to. I want to see how far from the objective. I got to click again. Click again. Okay, so it finally made it there. And it looks like it's 18 inches to the objective. It's probably off a little bit because it's not quite to the base, but I'm so frustrated with clicking on this dumb tape measure that this is close enough. Vassal actually has a much better way to do this. It's just a little hidden, and it's called bubbles. I think if you right click, you can see them too. So it tells you, however you want to know the hotkeys for this, and they're really simple. Ready? 1 gives you a 1-inch bubble. 2, 3, 4, 5. Any of the numbers you press goes up. So that's a 9-inch bubble. If I want to go even farther, it's going to be Shift 1. I now have an 11-inch bubble. Say if I wanted an 18-inch bubble, is this really 18 inches? Shift 8, 18 inches. Look at that. It's almost exactly 18 inches. I so wish I could do this in an actual game, tabletop game of Warmachine. It makes it ultra clean. You can see exactly how far away the model is from the objective here. And the nice thing too is, like, especially if you're doing charge ranges, it's super fast. It kind of makes up for the distance with some of the other portions with Vassal that are a little bit slower, like moving models are a little bit slower, but the measuring's really good. So I just wanted to give you that tip for now. There's all kinds of other nice tutorials out there for Vassal. I want to move right into how to do an email game. So I need to pause real quick, and I'm going to load up. I'm going to find one of my email games to use. Okay, so what I've done is I've loaded up one of our games that I actually played online. This is one I think I need to go back and finish my turn on. I think we're on turn 2 or turn 3, but this is what it looked like when it started. So the way that we did this is I went through and I added my Signar here. This is a Striker 3 list that I was testing. Didn't work out so well for me in a tournament, but it's kind of a fun list to play. She uses lots of Stormlances. So I deployed my models, as I talked before. So set up models. I added all my Signar models on here. And then what I did is I went to File, Save Game. Okay, so this is what you're going to do first. Now I'm pointing this out because it's going to be different when you're ready to actually play the game. Then you send your save game to your opponent. So my save game, let's see if I can find it here. Signar deploy. So here was my save game. So I said Signar deploy. I simply put this in an email and sent it off. Notice it's kind of a small. My opponent went and he added his models. And then he went, did the same thing, file, save game. Or save game as, of course, you change the name. Then he sent it back to me. I received it in an email, and I saved it on my computer in my little Warmachine folder. I opened it up. He had this deploy vsave. Now when it's my turn, there's a really, really important step that you can't miss. If you do miss, it kind of throws off the entire way that this works. So what you have to do is, instead of moving your models, you need to go up to File at the top here and say Begin Log File. This is what makes it work to actually play via email. So I'm going to hit Begin Log File. It's going to say, hey, what do you want to save this as? I'm going to go Signar, turn 1, 10, 25, Legion. Say whatever you want. It can take a pretty long name. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. It's going to say, enter some comments. I don't ever do this. I don't actually know what this does. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now, if I look at File, notice that my begin log file is grayed out and that it says in log file. This is good. That's what I want it to say. Now I'm going to go ahead and move, pretend I did my turn. So on my turn, move my arrow keys up, probably run my Stormlances. What do you think? Not super worried about the Legion there, so probably do something like this. Move up here. These Stormlances, unfortunately, are really boxed in, so I kind of moved them up to the flag. I just noticed that, oops, my objective, I forgot to set it. So this is the, I don't even know what you'd call them, the box-looking thing that's to the right of the P, the left of the slant down thing, above enter, below backspace. This actually changes which you want your objectives to be. They definitely have to be Pathfinder, because Stormlances don't have Pathfinder, and they really, really hate any type of woods. And so move my models up here real fast. Let's say I'm going to move a jack and actually want to use the arrow keys. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hammersmith goes over here, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to move striker up. 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, there's tutorials on how to do this. I pressed N for the number key. Up here, I'm actually going to type what I'm doing. So I'm going to say casts escort. Control and E gives me a label on him, so I can type escort on him. I'm going to say cast Fury on Ironclad. Control E again. Fury. Next to the N button is a B and an M. B goes down, M goes up. So I've taken 4, so I have 2 left. I'm just going to have old Rowdy run. If you have a new opponent, somebody that you haven't really played against, or somebody you don't know that well, sometimes it's okay to annotate what you're doing, like, oh, Rowdy runs. But turn 1, pretty much everything always runs. So move him over here. There. Rupert is just going to run up probably right there. Again, if I was actually playing a game, I'd probably do a little bit better measuring, but and Squire, whoever I always forget to move, is just going to run up here. Okay. So that's the end of my turn. I got my upkeeps out. I have Fear and Escort. Of course, I would have probably put Arcane Shield. Usually I put it on the front guy, so they can actually see. And down to 1. Make sure that I'm still in control. Yep, because he's actually running the Ironclad. Okay, and then I'm going to turn off that. Okay, looks like my turn's done. I'm simply going to go File, in log file. It's going to give it a second. It's going to say log file written. I'm going to close this out and show you what it looks like from your opponent's perspective. So I'm going to go ahead, file close game, closes the game out, leaves Vassal open. Okay, so I'm going to pretend I'm the second player, and I've received an email that has my Signar 1025 V Legion turn 1 vlog, although somehow I did turn 10, but you know, typos happen. I got it in my email, I saved it, I'm ready to play. I'd like to see date modified so I can actually see where it is. This is the one I just got today. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm ready to play. So a bunch of different ways to do this. Most of the time when you have Vassal here, I'm going to close out all the way out of Vassal so you can actually see what it usually looks like. Most of the time you're just going to load up the module, double clicking on it, go to load saved game, hit next, as select, click on the newest one for me, or whichever you named it, click open, which actually should be open if I could speak English. Once it's done loading, a lot of times you'll see that circular thing, just ignore that. It's done loading when you have this finish button is actually, you can click on it. I'm gonna click on it, pops open. Oh no, my guys didn't move. This is actually how this log file works. It's really important that you understand how this works. It allows you to step through your turn. So you can, my opponent, so I'm pretending I'm the Legion player, I get this log file, I say, okay, here's the Signar, what did they do on their turn? I don't want just a screenshot or just essentially all the models moved, I want to know what they did. The way that this works is you get this, you click in the box right here, so if I was going to type, and now you're going to use the page up and page down keys on your keyboard. I had some confusion, so maybe it's not as popular for people to know what these are. Maybe they're not really used anymore. So I'm going to show you a picture. Here's the page up and page down. Every standard keyboard has this. So it's in this kind of 6 blocks of keys, page up, page down. Page down goes forward, page up goes backwards if you want to see something. There was one on a laptop. All laptops are different. My laptop has it kind of in a different spot. It's a function key and it's in blue on the keyboard, what I have to do for page up and page down. But real simple. I click in this box and I click page down. Oh look, the first thing that my Signar opponent did is checked ranges. The more I click page down, the more the models are going to move. And since when I was playing a Signar I clicked and dragged, it just shows them going right there. So I'm going to move a little bit. You can see everything that your opponent did. So see how I moved the ironclad there? Each step will actually show your opponent. Really important if you're doing something like charging or if you have any question about what's going on. So I'm just going to press it down, or you can hold it down to go through it real fast. You can also see that it pops up what they typed. Cast Escort, cast Fear, and Ironclad, and keep paging through. And then as soon as you're done with it, the really nice thing is it says, hey, this log file is over. Do you want to start a new log file? And I'll say yes. It's going to ask me what I want to name it. Now I realized I had my microphone muted for a while there. Okay, so once the log file is done, it pops up and allows you to continue. That continue box is really important. It allows you to actually just keep going on it. Then you're going to go to your turn. You're going to move your models. Type in what you did. Casted stuff. Ran stuff. Maybe shot some stuff because I'm Legion and not Primal Terrors. Yeah, they're carnivorans. If you mouse over it, it'll tell you what the model is, especially if you don't know. So that's essentially it. A couple of the questions that I always get asked are, what about tough? Well, tough is really easy. You just do it for your opponent. Again, Vassal is going to record everything that happens. So if for some reason, my model was here, let's say Carnivoran was killing a Stormlance and I was playing Beth, so it had tough. Okay, so Carnivoran rolls to hit, okay, hits, likely kills on a 9, and okay, I need to check tough. You just do it for your opponent. Really simple. Did they tough? Oh, he didn't tough. Okay, that model's dead. Your opponent will see everything that happens step by step, so you don't have to worry about it. Now the difficult one is countercharge. There's a couple of other things, such as admonition is another one that generally causes problems. Countercharge, generally there's a couple ways to do this. You can say, hey, I moved a model within 6 inches. And it depends how well you know your opponent. If you want to, you can text him, hey, the so-and-so moved, the Hex Hunter moved in front of Ironclad. Do you want to charge it? Well, no. I don't want to waste my Ironclad countercharge. Okay, well, I moved the Carnivorian. He can now countercharge. Do you want to charge it? Well, can I see it? Sure. All you have to do is hit File in Log File. And we usually save it as like Turn 2A or, Part 1 and send it over. It does make the game take a little bit longer, but the nice part about it is that there's no time. You could just you can play these whenever you want. You can go through and you can say, okay, I'm going to do my counter charge. Do I crush him? Okay, so I hit probably and do almost no damage. Then I would say, okay, back to you. And I would probably say something like, he has retaliatory strikes, so once you hit him, he's going to swing back. So feel free to do the attack for me. Just things like that to keep the game moving on. Overall, I think I've played probably at least 30 games maybe this way in the last 6 months. It's really effective for me since I do have small children and I rarely get time to sit down and play a game on Vassal. I have to drive about an hour to play a game in person, so it's really nice if I want to keep up playing, keep up understanding of the game. The other thing it gives you that is just really incredible is that, for example, I went to my first tournament this last weekend, and I knew pretty much what all of the models did. Now, I didn't play very good in that tournament, but I could almost say, I could look at a model and I can say, okay, I've played this on Vassal and I had to look up the rules for it. I had to look and see what the charge ranges are, what the Hex Hunter does, what am I going to have to worry about, what am I not going to worry about, and it really enforces your understanding of the game. The other really nice thing about this is I can go through and I can think this through and say, I wonder what happens if I were to throw this Carnivoran because I don't really remember how throws work. In a normal game, I'm not going to stop and look up the rule book because it's probably going to take me 20 minutes to understand this rule. In a Vassal game, I can stop. I can say, man, what would happen if I were to do this? So I can look and say, hey, maybe Old Rowdy has a good chance of throwing Carnivoran, and these Hex Hunters are all packed together pretty well, so I can probably get, 5 or 6 of them. Maybe that's more worth it than killing the Carnivoran for me at the time. So anyways, this is how you play Vassal via email. I hope that more people will do this. I'm always open for it. I generally have 2 to 3 games going almost every week. One of my opponents has dropped off for now, just taking a little break from the game. My other opponent and I play quite often. I'm looking for a couple more people to play. I get to a game, probably I get a file, and just depending on the day, I usually get back to it in 1 to 2 days. So it takes about a week for an entire game to finish usually, just depending on what happens. It works really well. there's a little bit of caveats and stuff gets a little bumpy, especially if you play something that has like a ton of counter charges or counter blast or anything like that. But overall, it makes it an ability for all of us that have kids or all of us that have other strange schedules to be able to keep playing. Hope this was helpful for you and look forward to playing you on Vassal. Thank you.